Hey guys, my name is Chelsea. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be talking about the movie Conclave. This feels very fitting because today is election day. We're going to talk about Conclave, the film. It came out this past week in my area. It stars Ralph Fiennes, John Lithgow, and Stanley Tucci. Great cast. So it's about the process that they go through in order to pick the new pope. So there's a bunch of cardinals that come to the Vatican. They're sequestered for however long it takes to actually pick the new pope. Now, they only have to do majority vote. I thought it had to be unanimous, but they just do majority vote for whoever they want to be the next pope, okay? And so during this whole process, like when I was growing up, I heard that it was like really romantic and it seemed very like sacred, but when I was watching the film, it actually took a very different turn than I was expecting. It was very political. It seemed that the cardinals were actually sort of lobbying for the new pope to become the new pope, and there was this question of whose sins are the least worrisome in order to be the next pope. So like whose sins can we really tolerate, right, in order for them to lead the Catholic Church, lead them to this next future. There's also this question of certain cardinals who were bringing the religion backwards, like being a lot more bigoted and a lot less accepting of others, and there were some cardinals who wanted to bring Catholicism forward to a new age and to accept more people. So this feels very fitting to talk about today, especially because the election is coming up. And I feel like a lot of the time when there are people who are being considered to lead our country, for example, in this case, it's not so much in the past recent years as, oh, I really, really want this person to win. It's more so like, is this person the lesser evil of the two, right? Like, who can I tolerate more these next few years as opposed to the one that I really, really want to be leading our country? So for the conclave, it seemed very much in that same alignment. There's this question of more liberal versus more conservative people who will lead the church. And there's this really beautiful scene when they were all in the theater. I don't want to give away too much, of course, but they were all in the theater. They're talking about what they think the next pope will usher in, right? Like what kind of world will the next pope bring in for Catholicism? And there's just one cardinal and he said, the Catholic Church is not who we are now, it's who we will become, right? Who will we really lead the world to be in the future? What do we want people to really get behind, and how do we want to represent ourselves as a religion? I'm not religious at all as a person, but I really do respect the beauty of it and the way that people really want something to get behind, right? Like we are human, we want a reason for the way things are, and we want community, and whatever way you find that, whatever way is personal to you, is for your own life, you know. And I just feel like this, watching this process for the Conclave movie, it really just like reinvigorated that in me. Really, who wants to be the next pope and how bad they really want it. There's this question of, if you really, really want to be the next pope, then you probably shouldn't be the next pope. You know, they were saying that only people who are actually really crazy want this responsibility of carrying on being in the Vatican, being this really public figure and having this much responsibility, right? So if you want all that, you're crazy and you probably shouldn't be the next pope. Then you have those who are like, oh, well, I'm not sure I really want it, but I kind of want it. And then that's also bad too, right? Because if you are quote unquote weak in your stance or wanting it, then you don't want it bad enough. And perhaps you'll be more easily swayed once you have that station in life. And once you have that position, you might not be steadfast in your decision making. So there's a lot of different layers of this film, and I just felt like it represented so well, like I said, today, election day, what you want the future of any sort of community to be, right? Like the leader that you pick is the leader that's going to either bring you forward and bring you to this new era, or it'll crumble. And that's a very, very serious decision and a very serious process that you're considering. And when you're sequestered like you are for the conclave, there's a lot of room for rumors to spread, for things to sort of breed out, because you are in an enclosed space with these people who are also vying for the same position that you want. And we have Cardinal Lawrence, who is a manager of all of this. So his responsibility is to make sure everyone is heard. He is supposed to go around and make sure that things are going according to plan. And his position in this movie is really, really fascinating to me, because even at the end of the film, I still don't know what his motivations are. I'm still very confused if he was a villain, if he was a martyr, if he really, like, I'm still confused. And I think that's such great writing when at the end I'm not entirely sure where this man stands. I will say this is also a book, so perhaps the book will shed more light onto the questions that I have about this, but it was really cool to see also these different men sort of reconvening and deciding who, like I said earlier, whose sins are more tolerable for the next pope. And there were also the nuns who were involved, and they were sort of in the background, but it was just really interesting to see like the hierarchy and how all this works and the ways in which the cardinals wanted the church to look. Because there was one cardinal, for example, who thought that the next pope should, you know what? I can't say that. I can't say that actually. I'm just gonna say I really, really loved the way in which all these cardinals commingled with each other and how they really respected the authority of the church. But also there was this, okay, this is a really interesting part of the film because they were Cardinal Lawrence talking about how long it was taking for them to get the vote in to vote for the next pope, right? And he was like, okay, we have to be careful because if we take too long, then those on the outside will question how solidified the Catholic Church actually is. Like if we take too long, they might feel like we don't have really good options and it's really difficult to actually pick a pope because we don't really have good selection to begin with. And I thought that was really interesting as like there's this time play at hand, but also like it's fickle because you don't want to take too long, like he said, because you don't want people to feel like they don't know what they're doing, but you also don't want to take not a lot of time because that feels like that you are a little bit too flippant with your decision making. And so there's like all these different parameters that they have to deal with, and I love that they are sequestered because I feel like that blocks out a lot of the public eye putting in like their 2 cents about how things should go, and they can actually focus on the decision at hand. But yeah, anyway, all that aside, I really loved the costumes in here. I just feel like we're so like beautiful and regal and brilliant. Like there's a lot of use of red, of course, for the Catholic Church with the cloaks and the collars and the different filigree and the adornment that they had, but also there's a lot of use of the color blue, like the nurses, excuse me, the nuns were in blue a lot, so there's like a different color tone there. When they were in the theater, there was the use of the blue chair, so there's this sort of peace and serenity with the blue is what I was picturing. And then you have the really stark red, which is the royalty and the sort of imminent decision that they have to come to, which just felt like very alarming, but it was very beautiful when it was adjacent to the blue. And it was just a beautiful film to watch right offhand, and the music was really sprinkled through well throughout. But I will say the music was kind of repetitive. I felt like a lot of I don't know if they actually did use the same songs over and over again, but that's just what I kept hearing. I just heard the same song in different scenes, and it didn't really give a lot of dynamic. It wasn't very dynamic in that sense with the music. But other than that, I just feel like as I was watching this film, I was like, damn, this is a good movie. Damn, this is a good movie. Like the one-liners that they had were just so beautiful. Like there is a scene with Cardinal Lawrence and he's talking about how doubt is necessary. That brings like to the mysticism of like the decision that you want to make, because he was like, if you want to be Pope and you are completely certain of it, I don't want you to be in this position because I need you to have a little bit of doubt, a little bit of room for shadows, because in that room for the shadow and the room for the doubt, that's where the mysticism can come in. That's where you can actually have faith in God and faith in like what you want to happen. Like you have to lean more in your trust and in your faith when there are shadows present and when you're not completely certain of the route that you're going down. And I was like, damn, like he had some bars in this film. And I just feel like those one-liners really brought to light a lot of just the complexity of religion and the complexity of what it means to like have faith, no matter if you're a religious person or not. Like if you have trust in what you want to do, like it was just so multi-layered, and it was just such a beautiful film to watch. And it's just one that I feel like I will keep thinking about the months ahead. And I just really encourage you to go watch it, even if you're not a religious person. Like I said, I feel like you can find beauty in it. And yeah, it was great. So that's my review of Conclave. Thank you so much for watching, and happy election day. Go out and vote, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.